good morning to a very gloomy day out here in the Sabi sand. Welcome to the Sunrise Safari. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Via. And well, Brent and Steve have returned to camp to put on their roof because there is a sissy rainstorm that is now sort of very gently floating over the northern Sabi sand. For those of you that have never joined, Rebecca's not teasing me because I said a sissy rainstorm. Stop throwing me off my game, Rebecca. I was doing so well. I hadn't even stumbled over one word yet. Anyways, as I was saying, Rebecca's also directing. Don't worry if there are any Rebecca's watching. I wasn't talking to you. Only Sass, the directors. Of course, I'm just joking. You can ask us questions. All you have to do is hashtag Safari Live or talk to us via the YouTube chat. Now, we are driving on Zoe's Road, and then we just came across this beautiful Balanites tree. So I think in order to get this, show off on a roll, is we... No man, Rebecca. I have to turn the radio off while I'm presenting today, as there's something really special happened at this tree. It's a Balanites tree or torchwood tree or green thorn, tree of many names. What happened at this tree? What can you remember? Every time Craig comes past here, he almost falls out of the car with laughter. Hashtag Safari Live. Let us know. Let's see how many of you are still awake and watching. Okay, and on that happy note, Bim and I are going to be looking for lions. We're not afraid of the sissy rainstorm that's coming over. If we had wind, I promise you it wouldn't be here. It'd be blown away. And it's not even big clouds. It's like these little clouds that have all just... Well, they're just lurking at the moment. You can see, look at that. That's what you call a sissy rainstorm in South Africa. Because it's not really going to do anything to wet the ground. Besides annoy VM as he has to wipe his lens every 2 seconds. A mizzle. It's actually not even a mizzle. You can't even call it a drizzle that's going on now. It feels like mist. A sizzle. You can say, oh wow, look at this. How beautiful is this? Well, at least the sissy rainstorms bring this. That is actually spectacular. If I don't mind saying so myself. Look how beautiful is that. So I think once the sun actually pops up, it's going to burn away at all these clouds. And, well, I think we're going to see lots of blue sky. And I think it's going to be quite warm today. It's very humid already. That is gorgeous. Peter Panda, you win the Safari Prize today. You were correct in saying that what's special about that Balanites tree, it's the one that Brent fell out of. It's always nice to reminisce about those things. And, well, speaking about Brent, I think he might have his roof on now. Perhaps he's changed his mind. Let's jump onto his car and have a look.
Good morning, yes, Taylor. But at least when I fell out of the tree, I dropped, rolled, and landed on my feet, not my face. So, yes, Taylor McCurdy landed on her face. Good morning, my name's Brent Smith. I have Craig, the Batman, on camera with me today. And Taylor, Craig says he only laughed once, and but that's coming from Craig. And also, if I had to think about every time you got stuck or fell on your face, I would be laughing around 150,000 hectares of the Masai Mara. But anyway, all's good, Taylor McCurdy, if that's how you want to start the drive. The gloves are off. Okay, so I know Taylor's going to look for the lions. I felt like birding, and then it started drizzling, and we had to put our roof on. So when the roof is on, it's not the best for birding because they tend to always be where the roof is. So I changed my plan. I've headed up Vulture access, and I'm trying to see if there's any sign of Okumori. Last tracks went north, so I see if he's come back for a visit. Now remember, this is 100% live and interactive. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you want to get hold of us, or whichever feed you might be watching. Now it sounds like Taylor can't find any animals, so she's got to look at the sunrise.
We haven't even moved just yet. We were just appreciating the beautiful sunrise. And on that very happy note, I'm going to sit quietly so you can enjoy it. That's so cool. Now, when we do sit quietly like this, I promise it's not to get out of talking because I was itching to say something, but I was hoping that the lions were going to murmur something that I'd be able to, well, be pinpointed in their direction. Also, at one point, VM, I don't actually know what I was going to do, but he says, oh, I think there's a leopard, but like where the sun is rising. He zoomed in with his camera and looking in some of the open gaps. I would have been very impressed. But it is stunning, absolutely stunning, with some of those little clouds creating the most beautiful effect. It almost doesn't look real. That is so incredible. Wow. We do have the best sunrises. We've got the best sunrises in the bush in Africa. The ocean, yeah, we've got them too, but I think you could find other parts of the world where they're pretty spectacular. Lex, I think this is one. I think this is a beautiful sunrise. Well, it's not a sunset, but a sunrise story. I'm trying to think of some others. It was always amazing when you could find the perfect spot in the Mara and have a journey of giraffe moving around and just behind the sun, not behind the sun, in front of the sun, with the escarpment in the background. That was pretty cool. Some of my best okay, I'll tell you a sundowner story. So one day, we'd actually stop for sundowners, and we watched the sunset. It was really beautiful. And while all my guests were out, I think they were having gin and tonics, and there were snacks, and having a great time. Obviously entertaining everybody with really lame jokes, as I normally do. And the next minute, a pack of wild dogs comes and joins us during our sundowner, which was pretty epic. That was nice. That was one of the best sundowners I've ever had. That's an animal sundowner. And then, well, the sun sets and the sun rises on the beach, well, the coastline of Kenya was pretty spectacular. I almost tried to put Lamu and Watamu together. Latamu, that's a new town in Kenya on the coast. Watamu and Lamu had beautiful sunrises and sunsets. It was quite nice with the dhows. So those very old school, like sailboats, at sunset were spectacular. And even first thing in the morning, if you're up early enough, watching all the fishing boats go out, was pretty cool too. Very nice. Wonderful. I can't believe I sat still for so long. Rebecca's chanting things. Something wrong with her today. Too much sugar in her coffee. Someone take the coffee away from Rebecca and give her water. Wild. When you think I'm wild. No. Oh, yesterday also, with I must tell you very quickly, I'm going to turn Rebecca's volume down because I'm now telling a story. Basically, when I was doing when I was was I auditioning to be an air hostess? Maybe. I think I was auditioning yesterday to be an air hostess. I was holding some things in my hand. Rebecca's just said sometimes it's called an interview. Yes, an interview. No, but I feel like if you're an air hostess, you are. You're entertaining the people in the plane. Anyways, they were not Pringle cans. I didn't get any Pringles for Easter. They were Mr. Min cans. They were basically like a multi-surface spray that you used to wipe things down. Cameramen use it to clean what do you call this thing there? No, that's not the camera. The pedestal that the camera sits on, so that the bowl can move around swiftly, so you don't hear when they turn. Ben was getting annoyed, so we did that. I use it. Here's a good cleaning tip, everybody. If you want to clean your car, you get these multi-surface cleaners, but it's like a polish, really, like wood polish or metal. It's like an all-in-one thing, and it smells quite nice as well. You can get the regular scent, which doesn't smell like anything. And we spray on the hood of the car, actually all over the car. It was my cheating way to clean vehicles as guiding, because a lot of the lodges that we work at, they require you, if you don't have a tracker, you've got to clean your own car. And sometimes you have to clean it twice a day, which is a bit of a nightmare. And in winter, in the Eastern Cape, when it's raining and it's muddy, it's terrible. So I would the wheels can stay dirty, I don't really care about that, but I would spray this stuff everywhere over this car. Shiniest vehicle, and I didn't even have to waste water. And also the water that we use on reserves is full of, oh my goodness, calcium and all sorts of other wonderful things, and calcium, all sorts of things, and it often makes the bars rust quite a bit. So it's actually, some of that water twice a day, every single day, is not actually good for the cars. So that's a little way to cheat if you're an up-and-coming guide. There you go. It saves you a lot. Get a nice microfiber cloth. I find they work the best. And then VM, you made a new discovery, hey? When you get oil on your hands and you're in the middle of the bush and you don't have anything to wash your hands with, I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time, but that worked well to take the stains off of your hands. We then washed our hands with water afterwards. Quite a nice moisturizer. Was it? That's nonsense. I made that up. Okay, so we are looking for lions. I'm just trying to get into the area. We've checked Zoe's road now, and no luck just yet, so we're going to jump onto Philemon's cut line. However, Steve has beaten us to it and found the first animal of the day.
Yes, here we go. Good morning, everybody. We found a hyena moving in the road, and it just did an anal pasting on the side there, on the grass. It's walking directly towards us. Unfortunately, my vehicle is giving us a few technical issues, so we're not going to move. But thankfully, he's walking, or she's walking straight towards us. And welcome, my name is Steve Volkovich. I'm joined by Fergus on camera once again. We are out on drive in Djuma. The Sabi Sands is a beautiful 21 degrees Celsius, 69 degrees Fahrenheit. And we have got a beautiful hyena walking straight towards us. Please feel free, this is live and interactive, to send your questions and comments to hashtag Safari Live or follow us on the YouTube stream. Myself and Ferg are heading down to Chitwa, and lots of hyena activity on the road here with the Nkuhumas. And sorry about the pole there, folks. We do have a roof on in lieu of some rain this morning. The hyena was just walking past us. We saw one earlier on our way out of camp, moving in the direction of the Nkuhumas from last night. And I did have a look on the Nest Cam and saw there were at least one hyena at the elephant carcass. So the hyenas are doing quite well for themselves at the moment. Reptilian research, I'm trying to see. She would like to know if this is a female. And it looked to me by the size, it looked to me to be a female, most definitely. But it is quite hard sometimes to identify a small female versus a large male, especially if they're young. But that to me looked just by the size and the lack of very dark fur to be a female. Okay, so please send through your comments. And we are going to go over to Brent. And I'm not sure what he's doing, but I'm sure he's out looking for some birds.
Well, as I said, we're still looking for birds. We're looking for everything. We are bumbling with intent to see what is out and about this morning. So I'm making my way towards the northern boundary, and then I'm going to head east along the northern boundary to see if there's any tracks of anything. And then once I get down to the eastern boundary, I'm going to do a quick patrol to see if Thandi has crossed out or what is happening with her. And if there's no sign of her there, we'll dive down towards Quarry Pan, Buffelshoek Dam, Nyala Road, north-south, the areas that Thandi really likes to hang out in. Okay, hold on, big bump coming. It's always a good spot to check around here in the morning, just in case the wild dogs are around. This is one of their favorite thoroughfares. And you can see we're on the boundary now, heading east. Now, of course, we could find male lion tracks up here, and they could be from the Avoca males, Bill. They haven't disappeared completely. They've just been just to the north of our boundary in Buffelshoek and Torchwood. So they could easily come back. So they've hung around a bit. And actually, I don't think anyone's seen them for a day or two, but they walked around 2-3 days ago. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them, whether they decide to march south. I think at the moment they're preoccupied with these very big herds of buffalo. that are in the Manuletti. So I think they're crossing backwards and forwards from Buffelshoek and the Manuletti. Now, Hukamuri sort of comes to this area and then he walks the boundary. I haven't seen any tracks of him coming out just yet, but that leopard can move a long way. Now it's Murphy's Law. As soon as we put the roof on, the rain seems to go away and it looks like we might even get some blue skies a little bit later in the drive. But you can't get wet. Well, the camera can't get wet. And the cameramen these days also don't seem to be that tough. They moan at the slightest drip of water falling on their nose, especially Craig. Oh, are you going to land? Are you going to land? Looked like one of the little accipiters. So, size-wise, it could only really have been 2. And I would say it was a lizard buzzard because it didn't have a white rump. But I can't see where it went, unfortunately. For those of you wondering what an accipiter is, it is a small predatory bird. Goshawks, sparrowhawks, lizard buzzard is another one of them, and a lot of them hunt other birds. Goshawks, sparrowhawks, mostly. And so I'm going to check very carefully on this junction coming up here. It's often a very good area for tracks. So while I have my eyes glued to the sand of the Sabi Sands, let's see if Taylor's found any sign of the Nkuhumas.
Not yet, Brenty, but we're doing a little bit of a boundary patrol. I'm just checking, because there's some open patches on the other side that you'd be able to see lions laying about. So what we've done, let me quickly sort of give you an update on where we've been. So we drove Zoe's Road all the way to the boundary. Then we checked Gari Main, and we jumped onto Shibamu, and no tracks, just a little section. Now we're on the southern road that goes towards Treehouse Dam. We'll check Treehouse Dam. First we're going to have a look at whatever bird this is in the tree. And if we don't come right here, then we're going to head to... Is it a Djuma gene? Then we're going to head to... it is. Hello. African Harrier Hawk. Beautiful. Fluffing its feathers. Then we'll go to Philemon's Cut Line. And then we'll see. And if there's no tracks coming in and out, we know that they're still in exactly the same spot as they were yesterday. But a beautiful bird, a favourite amongst many of you. Perched up on a old knobthorn. I think waiting for the day to break. Well, I suppose that's the equivalent of having a shower or a bath, as it preens itself and sorts its feathers out to make sure that it can fly perfectly. I wonder if it's even going to sort of hop around on that knobthorn, which is a favourite of their trees, and start peeling back some of the bark, looking for delicious things to eat. Well, actually, they're the best nest raiders, aren't they? They're incredible. The way that they're able to access nests. I haven't heard any birds alarming either, not even at this one. No fork-tailed drongo to bother it, which they normally do, and no Franklin's alarming at any lions just yet. Very cool. What a nice way to start the morning. But let's quickly go down to the water. We're just having a quick look because we do want to find the lions, and if they are up and moving around, now is going to be the best time to see them. Please be laying down at the bottom of the base, or the base of the dam wall. Please, lions. Bless you, VM. Allergic to birds? Yes, they are too. You! We win the safari. Thank you for answering my requests, lions. You are so fantastic. Go Nkuhumas. Yeah. Now you can have bird and lions. Hello. Who are my favorites? How did that work? Perfectly, hey? Wasn't that fabulous? Shall I call it in on the radio? I better get that done now, hey? Stations have located the Nkuhuma Pride at Treehouse Dam, 1 o'clock. Copy, Rex, can you also take over the sighting? I'm going to go radio silence. There we go. Now I can turn my favorite piece of equipment off in the car. Having a drink. VM, trying to go around quickly. You want to have a look. VM wants to watch them drinking. Now, something I have not seen in this Pride of lions is a white lion. So, Angela, no. The Nkuhumas don't carry the genetics for the white lions. Hang on, I just want to try and angle it so VM can have a proper look. There we go. So I've never seen that. So no, there's none in this area. However, at Ngala, if I'm not mistaken, there was a white lion that was recently born. Actually from the same pride that the Birmingham males are from the Birmingham Pride. So they could theoretically, if they came from that lioness, potentially carry the gene, but we haven't seen any sign of it coming through. Very thirsty cats. Very, very thirsty cats. Beautiful. I was going to count that they're all here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. All 11 Nkuhuma lions are here. Lapping up the water. Where's Mr. and Mrs. Blacksmith Lapwing? They're not here to shout at the lions. Or perhaps they only pick their battles. Well, I suppose they are pretty clever. Oh, they're so lovely. Big full bellies still, though. I don't think they've caught anything else. I did see some tracks of a kudu bolting down the road, sort of from Shibamo onto Gari Main into Little Gari. So maybe it got a fright and realized that the lions were around. There are Malantia animals in this area, in terms of kudu, lots of inyala, quite a few things. Might be able to also hear the babblers as they were chatting away. They were getting upset with that African harrier hawk that was flying around. Now we need to find out where little Floppy is. Our floppy-eared girl. She's got quite a few scratches on her nose, and she's also got sort of different coloured eyes. They're not golden like that one. You've actually got beautiful eyes. Your eyes look like Nsuku's eyes. Yeah, it is. It's the young boy, too. The young male from the litter. Oh, goodness, I can't believe how much they've grown. I actually haven't really photographed the Nkuhumas since I've been back. Like I said, I've been only just starting to have regular sightings of them, and ones where their faces aren't, tucked into a buffalo, or they're hiding in long grass. It'll be quite nice to compare what they looked like when they were little, really, really little fluff balls, to what they look like now. Now, the Nkuhumas move around quite a bit. Last year, I think this time last year, we were seeing them spending quite a bit of time on Manuleti, in fact, in Buffelshoek. And now they've come back. Sometimes they pop onto Arathusa too. Sometimes they go onto Little Gari. And every now and then they see them on Chitwa too, but not very often because that's sort of where the sticks hang around. So Sky, I don't know if they've moved here because of the Birminghams. The Birmingham males are not around at the moment. I've only seen the Birminghams once, and that was that day we had 3 of them. Remember, they came back and sort of were roaring, clearly upset that the Avoca males were around. We don't necessarily know if they had an altercation, a physical altercation with them. Typical of a lion to do that. That's why we don't want to drink water at a pan like this. And I think it's just got to do with food. I think they're just moving around at the moment, and there seem to be a lot of kudu for them to feed on. Occasionally the herds of buffalo coming through. The odd dugger boy has been seen in the pans, especially by the bushwalk team. And yeah, so I think it's just that. I think they're just quite happy here at the moment. I think they're trying to move away from the Avoca males and sort of coming down here. Seems like the Avoca males are sort of taking over their turf in Manuleti where they go. So they'll want to keep away from them. Oh, my favourite. Sleepy flat lions. Look at all of them. VM should be turning around and then go back again, and we can show everybody how nice carpet they are. Let me quickly turn around up ahead and then we'll come back. Oh, don't drive off the damn wall. So, wisteria, no, I don't think many of the animals get sick from drinking that water. You and I would. We'd get horribly sick, but we also don't have the same digestive systems as them, and we're not exposed to the same bacteria as they are. So they're used to it from a very young age. do this because it could be quite cool. And that's why I say why you shouldn't drink water from a pan is for that exact reason. As you saw that lioness urinated right near the water. Sometimes they do that. Buffalo don't even get out the water. Hippo do it all in there. That's quite a nice reflection, hey? Very pretty. I'll show you now, but all the Nkuhuma lions are just laying out and enjoying themselves. Blending in very well. But they can get sick from the algae, and if an animal maybe dies in the water, it could contaminate a water system, especially if there was something wrong with them, if they were sick. It's not going to be, go down very well. And which is why I remember last year there was a buffalo that died in Buffelshoek Dam. Then they ended up dragging it out with a tractor because there was so little water left. And they didn't want that carcass to pollute one of the last watering holes, so they took that out. Hi, lions. Can you hear another car coming? See how the ears are turning. Rexon's coming into the site, and you all know Rexon. That's so cool. Had a drink of water, so they've barely moved from where they were last night, only a couple of 100 meters. Probably actually 200 meters as the crow flies. Not far at all. And I don't know what they're going to do now. It looks like they're fairly sleepy. I thought we would have got lucky and seen them up and moving around. Maybe not today. Okay, well, we'll sit with these lions and see what they get up to. Off we go to Steve, and I think he's almost at Chitwa.
Yes. Found the lion. Just
Oh no, sorry about that. My goodness. That didn't work very well. Silly technical gremlins. How dare they? Right, but you're back with us in the Nkuhumas, which I'm sure you're quite happy about. What we are going to have to do, though, is we're going to have to actually just change our position because Tax has come in and then Rex is coming from behind us and he's going to want to climb over the damn wall, so we're now blocking it. We're basically being an elephant. So we'll go down again. Hello, sleepy lions. Oh, it's so good to see the Nkuhumas. I'm just going to try and park nicely so that Rexon also has a nice view. Okay, make sure there's no scrub here. Oh no, I can smell lion dung, but where is it? I don't want to be driving over that. That's for sure. It probably is on my tires, yes, Rebecca. I couldn't see it, but I can smell it. FM. That's just the greatest smell in the whole wide world. Still not as bad as rotting carcass, though, in my opinion. I can stomach it. Not great, you know what I mean? You don't want to take deep breaths. Oh, I can hear the hyenas now. And the hyena on the move. You can hear it as it's going. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Might be a bit far away from you. So, Ellie belly laugh. Also, I want to know, how does a Ellie have a belly laugh? I feel like that would be a great thing to experience. When this male leaves, this youngster, he's probably going to go off on his own because there's no other males in this pride, and so it's going to be tough for him to find a coalition to join. Maybe he stumbles across some other youngsters at some point, and they allow him to join their coalition. But lions also don't necessarily join a coalition. Look at the grass moving as he breathes heavily. It's a good indication of how deep of a breath he's taking, and that's fine. And obviously you're going to be more successful. You'll be able to have a longer reign if you're in a coalition and there's more than one of you. But he should be able to survive on his own. But it's hard, hey? I mean, I really feel sorry for young male lions because the chances of him actually making it to adulthood, the odds aren't in his favor, unfortunately. There are lots of up-and-coming males in this area, and if they find him, they're not going to want to have him around. Maybe he'll be lucky enough and he'll be able to run away fast enough. If not, though, they will take him out because he could be a potential threat to them at some point. So he'll know this, though. He'll lay low. He'll sneak around in between other lions' territories and sort of not making a sound, so he might not be vocalizing, and just keeping his head low, which would be the most clever option. To just stay invisible until you are big and strong enough, if he is on his own, to take on another male and, well, steal his pride from him and steal his territory from him. Well, listening to that hyena, I think. That might be coming this way. It would be quite funny if the hyena carries on going whoop and then just stumbles across the lions. I reckon the sub-adults will probably chase it. They're at that sort of age. And that isn't rain that you can see on the water. That is all little insects moving around. Oh my goodness. Now, Brent, of course, well, he's the chirpiest. I suppose that's why he likes birding so much, because he's like a bird. And he always gives us grief about not finding any animals. But it seems as though the tables have turned today. Mr. Leo Smith, when are you going to put something on screen?
Oh, Taylor McCurdy. It's amazing how excited she gets when she finds something once. But, yes. Well, we're going to keep looking up here in the north and the east. As I say, for Tundi, we haven't seen her in a while. But while we're searching here, I've got a question for everyone. And no using Google, no cheating. And it's a bit of a doozy, I reckon. It's a good one. I want to know, what is the most endangered animal in Africa? What is the most endangered animal in Africa? Hashtag Safari Live. I would love to see what you guys think. Now, of course, there's quite a few different species in Africa that are currently endangered and under threat. And the best way to help out those animals is to create awareness about them, because I'm quite sure there's a few on the endangered list that no one has even heard of. So what is the most endangered animal in Africa? When I approach Buffelshoek Dam, I always sort of pick my head up and start having a look. Oh, first one in. Unfortunately not Carol. It is not the wild dog. It is in the top 10 list. But if I remember correctly, it's not even in the top 4. Hello, Sheila. Sheila, nope, not a rhinoceros. Not a white or black rhino. Black rhino is in the top 10. White rhino still currently is not even in the top 10 endangered species in Africa. Black rhino is, but it's quite low down the list of the top 10. Now, this is in terms of actual numbers. Thinking out of the box, Aaron Addix, but it is not, unfortunately, even in the top 10 either. Where am I, Craig? There. And you can see the cloud burning off, not a drop of rain, and we've still got our brief. Rather have it than not. Got a heron in the tree. Yeah, that's very pretty. Grey heron roosting. Now, I've been checking the Buffelshoek boundary for tracks, and I've done the whole boundary, and these hippo that are in the water here, we've been following their tracks all the way from Sydney's waterhole. They have walked the whole way down the boundary, and I'm sure in these smaller waterholes that don't have big groupings of hippo, I think there's quite a lot of movement, and they move between a lot of the different waterholes. Oh. So apparently I need to give clues now. Tusk, tusk. It is not a bird. It is indeed a mammal. And it is in South Africa. So Africa's most endangered animal lives in South Africa. And it's quite appropriate given the weekend we've just had. That's fucking cryptic enough. Haha. Okay. Let's keep moving. See if the lovely Tandy. Rebecca, what was that? I just heard giggles. Did you hear what Rebecca said, Craig? We're getting to sort of the right sized animal, Shelley, but it is not a Dussie. Dussie are not endangered at all. There are lots of them. Their population did have a crash from Newcastle's disease in the 90s, but they've recovered steadily since then. Izzy, you are much closer. Izzy, a rabbit, but I want to know what species of rabbit, because there are more than one. So, I don't even think it's half right. It's maybe 1/16 right. And we have a winner. Gordo says riverine rabbit. And that is spot on. There are about 250 of them that live in the Nama and succulent Karoo. And for a long time there's hare species and other rabbit species in Africa. And it wasn't till quite recently that realized that this was a completely separate species from everything else. And it is a very important indicator species to the health of the Karoo. And it only lives generally in the dry riverbeds, and as I say, only about 250 known pairs in the world. And also one of the smallest and most specific areas in terms of habitat, that they need very specific dry riverbeds in the Karoo. So there we go. Well done, Gordo. Now, that was a good one. Now I'm gonna think up another quiz for you guys shortly. But while I scheme and plan, it sounds like there's a possibility the Nkuhumas are going to get up for a walk.
Yes, I hope they do. There's a couple of them, but also VM and I just think that they're moving off to use luxury facilities because they're polite lions. No, they're not. They just go wherever they want to go. There is a lot of movement, though. A lot of grooming, a lot of yawning, a lot of changing of direction, apparently. Where are you going now, big girl? Looking good. Looking healthy. You forget how big a lion is until it walks past your car, too. I mean, they're absolutely dwarf leopards. No, laying down now. Perhaps just a change of scenery was needed. Oh, we found our little floppy-eared girl, by the way. And it is the one that's just to the right. That one. There she is. Hello. She's got lots of cuts on her faces, which actually makes her quite easy to identify. I'm not surprised. Not even surprised slightly to see that that's what she's looking like, because she's feisty, so she likes to fight. She reminds me so much of Amber Eyes. She's kind of got those same color eyes too. Come on, kitty cats. Yes. Morning is about to start. Well, it has started. You guys are a bit late today. Lots of cuts on this one, eh? As well. Also been fighting over something. Oh, it's the lioness with the opaque eye. Now, Zune, no, it isn't just the male lions that roar. Lionesses will roar too. and they will roar for the same reason. We'd see it a lot in the Mara, where they would do the same thing to declare territories. Otherwise, they'll contact call as well. They'll roar to try and find one another, pretty much for the same reasons, to advertise to other prides and lions that this area is occupied and they shouldn't, move on in. There's the oldest lioness. Look at that wound. Looking good. Remember, it's not going to close straight away. That wound needs to heal from the inside and slowly make its way out. So it's getting better. It's looking really good. I'm not a vet, but it just looks nice and clean. Doesn't look like there's any infection. Look at her. She's putting quite a bit of weight on it. Slight limp. But I mean, for a wound of that size, she's come around nicely. Off you guys. And finally, the sun has managed to break through the clouds too. I think that's what they're doing. I think they're actually just moving to find shade. That's fine. Oh, excuse me. Who did that? Hey, VM, was that you or Lion? VM's giggling now. One lion net, one rip. Should have blamed one of the guests in the other vehicles. Oh, stunning. Where was this light when I was trying to take photos while I was off air? Typical. Absolutely typical. It's fine, you guys at least get to enjoy it then. And they're going down for another drink. Ooh. I don't know if we're going to be able to get a nice view because Rexon's up on the dam wall. Might just have to stay put. Kitty cats? It's relaxing. You would never think that sitting in with lions, with the biggest cats in Africa, would be peaceful, but I promise you it is. You can guess what she's doing. That needs no introduction, but look, our little friend is sitting up. Hello, girl. She's so cute. I like her. I think she's quite pretty when she hasn't got all the scars on her face. But they'll heal up nicely. That must be from scrapping around a carcass. Her ears have healed nicely. Remember, oh, I miss that little flop that she used to have. And here also all the birds starting to chit and chatter now. Now, with little lions, I know we have spoken about this quite a bit, but we often have new viewers jumping on all the time, so we've got to talk about this. Sometimes we've got to talk about the same things. Is when a little lion is born, they obviously need camouflage. Yes, they have that lovely tawny color which helps blend into the grass, but we know how important spots and stripes and different colorations are to aid in camouflage. So Brodo, and that's exactly why the lions have little rosettes, little spots on their legs, and they're completely covered in them. In fact, maybe someone can find a picture of a brand new little lion cub. We've had a couple of sightings where we found lion dens, and they're tiny, and then you can see how they're completely covered in it. They normally outgrow them, but then again, some lions keep them for life. You can even see on that lioness there. That's a fully grown lioness. She's still got some of those spots on her legs, and she'll probably keep them forever. There she goes. Look at the power when she walks. She's not really walking with determination now, but look at those muscles on the shoulders. Exceptionally strong. Very powerful. Lovely. Off she goes. Is that amber eyes? Look like it, eh? She's a big girl too. And you know why they've got to have all the power in their shoulders, because that's how they bring their prey down. Unlike a cheetah that's got poorly developed front legs and exceptionally well developed hind legs, and they ankle tap to try and trip their prey, and then so they go tumbling down, and then can sort of jump on top of them and grab where they need to grab in order to suffocate them. The lions, of course, are catching much larger things, and they need to have powerful shoulders to be able to pull them straight down to the ground. You didn't look so impressed. Now, even though they are grown up, though, they still enjoy a cuddle. And the lions are so social. And the better relationship they have between one another, the more successful they will be with hunting. Now, something that I haven't really noticed with the Nkuhumas is them changing their behavior around us as humans while we're in the cars. So Mina, I think it depends on how relaxed the cats are with the cars. So if it's a pride of lions that have never seen a vehicle in their entire life, they're going to run away. So then, yes, then they definitely change their behavior, and they're nervous. So they maybe hide away, they'd stop hunting, they'd stop grooming themselves. But what they're doing now just shows you how relaxed they are with us. So I think that a pride of lions or a leopard in the Sabi sand that's had a lot of experience with the cars, has been habituated to the vehicles, just carries on like normal. And I think there's very, very little behavioral change there. You know? Oh, they're pretty cats there. Lions are beautiful creatures. And once you stare at them a little bit more, you sort of see how different they are. Like that one's like a Roman, this one here. You've got... She's got like a very sort of straight nose, where I find that our little floppy-eared girls, her sort of like a dip in her face. Just a slight one. Oh, this light is beautiful. Also going down for a drink. Kind of one of those sightings where you actually just want to sit quietly and watch. Christine, yes, it is beautiful, and I wish you were here enjoying this in person, because it isn't just about, of course, the sights. You can hear the birds chittering and chattering, and then of course the wonderful smells that come through, the freshness of the bush early in the morning, and then of course the stench of the lion dung. These lions don't seem to be particularly smelly. I can't say that I can smell them at all. So I reckon in the next, I think these lions as well, yeah, maybe the next year or so, these lions will start mating, or just before that. So Kathy, they will, the young lioness is going to go into estrus between 2.5 and 3 years old, somewhere around there. Remember, every individual is just slightly different. But yes, the older girls, the adults in the pride, are definitely going to come into estrus soon, which is quite exciting. So I think we can expect that, you know, whether it's within the next few weeks to the next few months, some of them coming back into estrus. These youngsters are almost 2 years old now. And then the Birmingham boys will be back. They definitely will hang around more when there's lions in estrus. And that's where they need to be careful, because the evokers, of course, if the lions go off into the distance and start defecating and urinating, they're going to pick up in their urine that they are coming into estrus, and then they might put a lot of pressure on the Birminghams. But I don't think the evokers stand a chance at the moment. If all Birminghams are together, those 3 young boys will get a hiding and be sent on their way. But one Birmingham being caught out by those 3 boys, he could find himself in a lot of trouble. And that's why it's important, if you are in a coalition, that you're not necessarily on your own for too long. You need a partner in crime. I'm sad now, because I really thought they were going to go on the move, but that's not the case. They're just moving to a spot that's going to provide them with a bit of shade. They're still very, very sleepy. So we'll watch them all fizzle out into the long grass, and once they go into the long grass, we're probably going to leave, as I'm sure there are a few landowners that would like to come in this morning and also see the lions. Everybody's starting to shuffle around. I think Tax is also leaving. So, just like if you had a group of dogs at home, you had more than one dog, always notice that if one has an injury, all of the dogs will sort of lick it when they can. Again, also they're very social. So yes, Lexa, lions will do the same thing. If there is an obvious injury and one lion is grooming another and it comes across it, it's probably going to groom it and keep it clean at some point too. Whether the other lion will tolerate it, as you know, they might be a bit rough. It's like if somebody's putting a bandage on your hand, for example. Sometimes it's nicer to do it yourself because you can feel how tight you're doing it. The other person doesn't know. And that's kind of the same thing. They might not tolerate it as much. They might move away and sort of, hey, leave me alone, I'll do that myself. And of course, lion language. They don't speak English. I'm just having a little nudge, so that's where they're going to sleep. Over there. And once they go there, we're definitely going to leave, because I don't think they're going to do much, unfortunately. Right, off we go to Brent to see what he's been up to this morning. Apparently, he's been doing a bit of tracking.
Yes, tracking indeed. We found some male leopard tracks. It looks like it's Djuma, not Hukamuri, because Hukamuri's got that back right track where you can see he's got a toe that sticks out. So I'm just doing a quick loop through here. Tracks went into the block here. So I'm going to go around and check Hyena Road. Now, when trying to find Djuma, I have to go slowly, as he is a little bit nervous during. At night time he's fine, and that's quite often the case with leopards that don't spend a lot of time around cars, and lions for that matter. They all feel far more comfortable in darkness. Oh, hold on, bump. And sometimes...
Oh my goodness, we really are not winning today. It's a Taylor show. Sorry, everybody. Right, we're leaving, as there's some other vehicles that are moving into the sighting now. And it's not particularly nice where those lions are going to lay. It's like laying in all this tall grass here behind some worry trees. And I don't think they're going to do much. So I think we've got a good chance of still having the lions around for the sunset safari. But I'll listen to the radio. If they do anything exciting, we'll try and get on the standby list and try and wiggle our way back into the sighting. But we're going to give everyone else a turn though as well. They can, at least we got them up and moving around, doing a couple of yawns and grooming one another. It's always nice to see that behavior. Now, I think what we're going to do is, I think Steve is going to come back this way so he can fix his technical gremlins. We're going to go to Chitwa, because last night, Tingana was on his way from Little Gowrie going towards Chitwa, and Hosana were bouncing between the two properties. So maybe we'll get some luck. I'll also try and get hold of Dylan. We can do that, maybe send him a message. Sometimes my radio doesn't work too well, and I can't hear anybody, and that doesn't help us. So we'll sneak on around that way. Very quiet out here though. Not much around in terms of animals, small animals. Steph, finding new zebras feels like an impossible challenge, I'm afraid. There aren't any zebra around at the moment. Well, none that I've seen. I haven't even seen a zebra track for ages. I think everybody's up in the north, around Satara area. At this time of the year, the grass is very, very tall. There's such good grazing. Just north of the Manuleti, around Aupen, and then going up towards sort of between Aupen and Satara in the Kruger National Park. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Huge herds of zebras up there. Also big herds of elephants. That's quite nice. Nice birding too. Well, although February is nice for the birding, because a lot of our migrants, summer migrants, are now going back home to escape the freezing cold. Not that it gets cold, it's very dramatic. So yeah, so that's where they are. There isn't great grazing out here, especially on Djuma, I find. There's some areas, and I know Rexon says what they are trying to do is improve the quality of grazing. So his project now, I think it actually starts now at the end of March, right through till April. He's going to be going through to a lot of areas around Drakensberg, around Battelier Road, towards Cheetah Cutline, with a lot of monkey orange. And actually we'll go on the firebrae. And it's not very nice. It's not an invasive species, but it's an encroaching species. So it takes over open grasslands. I almost lost my camera for it. Oh yeah, we can check here for Janet Jackson. Let's have a quick look. Let me see if I can see her. And by removing that... did you see her? No, I don't know. I never have luck with Janet Jackson. Oh, there she is. I said that. There, she's going up the middle. Okay, I don't think we're going to see her because she's moving. Let me try. I'll tell you about. You can't, I can see her, but it's, no, I can't. I think that's actually the wood. She did just go up in here, by the way. I think that's her is that her on the right? Go down a little bit into that bottom one. Maybe you see where I'm going. No. I think it is her, but I can't tell you what part of her body it is, unfortunately. Yeah. Something. It's a part of a genet that we're looking at. That fluffiness. She could be mooning us, VM. We wouldn't even know. Yeah, she's in there. But she's quite nervous. She's not like Genevieve, unfortunately. So just hiding away. She's probably been very busy. Looking for all sorts of delicious things to eat last night. Also, we don't know if it's a she. I've never really seen her. I think this is like the second time I've seen the genet in the tree. Like I said, I don't know what part of the body that is. Oh, off she goes. Let me go back. She's climbed up. Have a look at the next window. Oh, do you want me to go further? Oh, I think she's sort of between the bottom floor and the top story. I'm sure it's hollowed out a little bit more. There's some nice places for it to rest. But that's where most of the day will be spent until nighttime falls. And it all starts again. And the squirrel, who's chatting for what in here? Who's telling stories? Let's see. Why is that squirrel going? Can you see it there? It's very excited on that broken bra. In there. Oh, it's got marula nuts. Look where it's stashing them. Who are you talking to? It can't focus on doing one thing. It's the tailor squirrel. Look at it. From talking to trying to scratch to trying to pull the nuts out of the marula seed. That's what you call multitasking, everybody. This is the real struggle. This is what I go through. 1 minute, I'm trying to put my shoes on, and then I've got one shoe on, but my laces aren't done up, and then the next minute I'm brushing my hair. It's back up on top again. There we go. Then I'll be brushing my hair, and then all of a sudden, at the same time I'm trying to brush my hair, I've now got a cloth in my hand, and I'm wiping the table. It's so... I can't concentrate on doing one task. Aren't they funny creatures? Apparently they make great pets. That's a funny sound. Very busy, eh? Where are you going now? Interesting to watch squirrels. They don't normally tolerate us this much. They normally race away when they see us. It's now not calling so much anymore. Clambering around all those thorns, maybe looking for something else to eat. Didn't you find something? Just you with it. Where are you gone? I don't know. On the next perch. I love it when they call. It's kind of like their mouths and their tails are connected. Every time they open their mouth, the tail goes up. Like it's a tight string. No, it stopped. And Janet Jackson doesn't want to entertain us. The squirrel will, at least. Oh, that's how we scratch. Very flexible. Look at nimble. Racing around trees. You can easily see how they give young leopards a run for their money. Much quicker than a leopard going up and on those small branches. I don't know what's here. I mean, like I said, I know squirrels, they just shout for nothing sometimes, like they're advertising that they live here and leave my tree alone. I just want to pull that one leaf away. Don't you, VM? If I put my foot on the clutch, we might be able to roll forward. No, we're not rolling forward. What's wrong? Tell us your problems. Who's upset you? That's a strange sound for a little animal like that to make, eh? Now, lots of different things eat squirrels, from birds of prey to snakes. So, Karen, unfortunately, the squirrel has got a very tough life, especially in trees. Lots of snakes will get it. And then Hosana, Shongile, and any other young leopard. Well, when they're first learning to hunt, the squirrel is not necessarily an easy target. Like I said, these things are so quick going up and down the trees all the time. And make for good practice. And those leopards have got to learn balancing skills very quickly. So, yeah, they fall victim to a lot of different animals, a lot of different predators. But mainly birds. We mainly see birds eating them. Wait. You're the most obliging squirrel I've ever met. Have you? Have you ever had a squirrel on camera for this long? Where's it gone now? Oh, there it is. What you doing? Come here. Come. Come. It's coming closer. Not to us, though. It's looking for things. As long as I don't start the car, we'll be fine. Soon, the squirrel's going to be so close. No, we're going. We're not going to be able to film it anymore. That is amazing. And look at it, going on the dung now. Look at it, looking for marula nuts. That's amazing. Whoop, off it goes. So cool. Thank you, squirrel. That was nice. Well, like the best squirrel sighting I've ever had in my life. I've had some cool ones, though. Like I said, I always used to love watching them from my office in Zambia, because I had to work in an office. Can you imagine? I mean, computer, hate it. Hate working inside. Terrible. Really not for me. And that's why I got horribly distracted. I'd be there working on the computer trying to work something out or doing, I don't even know what, can't remember what I did. I just used every excuse to go, Excel spreadsheets, yes, exactly. Oh, worst. And I'd sit and I'd get distracted for a long time. I'd just be staring at all the squirrels that were out on the anna trees, running around on the wooden walkways. Okie dokes. Well, we'll keep carrying on towards Chitwa. I'm going to get rid of it.
I imagine Taylor McCurdy in an office would look like an elephant bull had been stuck in there for a while after Taylor was done. I'm afraid I'm with Taylor on the office work, and unfortunately we have to do it sometimes, but it is horrible. When you run camps, you spend quite a bit of time staring at Excel spreadsheets. I think one of the funniest ones is when I was in southern Tanzania, and we used to have old HF radios. We didn't even have internet in camp or anything like that, and we used to have to try get our food order over the radio. And the problem is with those old HF radios, those are high frequency radios, it does sound like you're talking through a fan, and you've got to sort of step back to listen to them. But because it's not really used too often, the old HF frequencies anymore, because you can talk a very, very long distances. But there's now much better technology for that. But so what's happened is there's lots of people who have stolen frequency. So you buy a license for the frequency, and that's your frequency to talk to your office in town or whatnot. But unfortunately for us is that there's a bunch of guys in DRC, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, who'd figured out that they could talk to each other for free by just stealing other people's frequencies, and steal our frequencies. They did. But I'll finish that story now. See a little Steenbok there, Craig? Don't run. Oh, there it goes. Pop. Little boy. Jump. And gone. Yeah, a nice little Steenbok sighting, even though it was quite brief. So you'd be sitting there going, I need 5 kgs of rice. And then all of a sudden, the radio would explode in French. Oh, comment ça va bien, on est Congo, Kinshasa, and you're like, get off my channel, and they would not, and they just laugh at you, go, no, no, really used to make me mad. So if they were really bad on the radio, I couldn't do my food order by radio, and I used to have to go use the sat phone, which is $2.50 a minute, and sometimes you had a food order or a town order of like 300 items. So you only have 5 kgs of rice, and on the sat phone with the delay, copy, and then 2 tins of tomato or whatever it was, 3 Land Cruiser wheel bearings, and anyway, doing the food orders and stuff used to take. We only used to do them normally once a month, apart from fresh orders, and those used to come in with our guests on the aeroplane. But the fresh order was just the same, with depending on how long the guest was staying, the fresh order. But our dry stock and booze order and stuff like that used to come in on a truck, and that truck would take 3 to 4 days from Dar es Salaam to our camp, depending on the state of the roads and etc. And so it was quite an interesting drive. So you come out of Dar es Salaam and you sort of slowly go up just before you start getting. You go through Nkuhuma National Park, and just before you start really climbing to the Southern Highlands, you go left down a mountain pass into the I lie to you, Great Ruaha River Valley, and then you go through these horrible roads along the edge of the Great Ruaha, across a basically at the base of the Urudzungwa Mountains, and then eventually you get to a place called Ifakara, and at Ifakara is the Kilombero River, which is massive. The Kilombero, the Great Ruaha, and the Luego join to form the Rufiji, which is one of the biggest rivers in East Africa. And so when you got to Ifakara, there was a ferry that was often out of commission. So a ferry that you could drive big trucks on, and or our Land Cruisers and stuff like that. And that ferry was broken quite often. The one year we actually made our own ferry because we were late for building camp, and we couldn't wait for them to fix the ferry, because it was always tomorrow that it was going to be fixed, and it never happened. So what we did is we got a whole bunch of 200-litre drums and welded a frame, and then planked it across and put a little 15 horsepower outboard motor on the back, and it was big enough to take a Land Cruiser. So we bought all that stuff on site, had it built on site, got our stuff across the basics we needed to start building camp across the river, and then charged everyone else on our ferry till we had made our money back for building it, and took it apart, chucked it in the back of the lorry once the big ferry was operational again, and just kept it as in case we never needed to build a ferry again. We had the whole frame, we had all the drums we needed, and so out in those very rural areas in Africa, you got to be able to make a plan quickly. But so from crossing the ferry, you then had to climb up 1,200 meters right up to the top, to a place called Mahenge, which was actually the old German colonial fort. But it sounds like I'll continue telling you the story a little bit later, because Steve was having problems on Chitwa, so he's gone to take over from Taylor at the Nkuhumas.
Yes, thanks very much, Brent. We did have some gremlins with us this morning, and we've now returned all the way back into Djuma, and we have managed to find, if Ferg can find them, I think he's got them in frame. There they are. Just on the other side of Treehouse Dam, probably about 500 to 600 meters further southeast from where we had them last night. Maybe even less than that. I'll have a look on my map. But they haven't gone very far. But their heads are up. They're a little bit more interested in the activities of the day than they have been. The reason that one is looking particularly there is there's just one of the Buffelshoek landowners is just leaving the sighting. Not disturbing it at all. It's just one of the young, inquisitive individuals who likes to just have a look, just very interested in the movement of the vehicle. So really nice. Unfortunately, we've had the gremlins this morning, so we've had to come back. We were sitting at Chitwa Dam with some amazing birds and some beautiful scenery. But sorry we couldn't show you that. Ferg and I have not been working very hard this morning, it seems. So now it is our opportunity to delve into the depths of lion ecology. And please send through your questions. #Safari Live. Let us know what we can discuss that you haven't heard about yet with regards to lions. Zakaria, yes indeed, the young females will remain with the pride. Any lioness that is in a pride, natal pride, will generally stay there for the remainder of her life. The only time lionesses might split off is if the pride gets to a size where they are very big and they've got lots of offspring, young sub-adults, and they're just struggling to survive with regards to one kudu or two kudus, for example. They're starting to have to kill more often. Sometimes then you might have a pride that might break away, and some lionesses will go left, some will go right, and their offspring will follow, and thus forming two splinter prides. It does happen, but the young males will, from the ages of 2 to 3, move away from the pride, but generally the females will stay in their natal pride for their entire life. And then we have 3 of them, 3 of the youngsters, it seems, from here anyway. They're not looking as full as they did yesterday. Those of you watching the show with me last night, they were looking extremely bloated and full. They're still looking full, but the digestion is definitely underway, and no doubt they've had a few more toilet stops. Hence why we've stopped initially on the other side of Treehouse Dam, so as not to pick up the scent of the lions immediately. We got quite a fill of that last night, didn't we, Ferg? But at least they've moved away from the carcass now, so the overwhelming smell that is the kudu carcass and the dung or the lion scat is not with us at the moment. Elizabeth, the sub-adult with the injured eye, didn't look great yesterday. I was chatting with Nikki last night, and she said that it potentially might have happened when the evoker males came in a week ago or so. That's how long the eye's been injured. And to me, the eye looked absolutely buggered yesterday. I was looking at it with my binoculars, and it did not look well. If it's been like that for 7 odd days, I don't have too much hope for that eye, sadly. But Nikki also said that one of the adult lionesses also got one in the eye, but I didn't notice that yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on things, so to speak, and see how these individuals do. But those 3 that we just saw there now have got very good eyes. They're looking good. So I'm not sure where that youngster is, but we haven't gone around to the other side. I'm sure most of the pride is all lying up over there all together, a puddle or pile of lions, as we call it. And they are close to water. It is a very cool day. So maybe if something comes down to the water to drink, maybe there'll be some activity, but I don't think they're in the mood for moving too much. Kendall, I don't know if that sub-adult male will join the Birmingham boys. He's too young, and he's probably related to them. I believe they are his father. So it is not unheard of for young males to join the adults, but I think the Birminghams are at that age now when they are at their prime and towards the end of their prime. So they're going to be moving out of primeness, so to speak, pretty soon. And the young male leaving here would want to find himself with some younger males to develop himself, to get stronger, to get bigger. And by the time he's big enough, which will probably still be another 3 years at minimum, then he'll be able to sort of join a coalition. But I don't think the Birminghams have got 3 more years left in them. Generally, lions mature at about the age of 4.5, and they'll stay in a pride tenure for about 4.5 years, plus minus, maybe 5, depending on the strength of them. And I think these boys have been around for some time already, so they are getting to that point where young males need to come in and need to chase them away. Whether the evokers will join this young male, it's unlikely, but those things do happen. You do find sort of sub-adult males moving into the area and sort of adopting or bringing in another young male to assist in the ranks, but it takes a lot of pressure and there can be a lot of aggression, and they can also potentially be killed. Okay, so we're going to go back over to Brent and see if he's got more to talk about with regards to radios.
Well, we're still just scouring this area where we last had these male leopard tracks to make sure he hasn't doubled back on us. But while I keep checking, I'll finish that story. So we used to cross the ferry at Ifakara and then go up 1,000 to 1,000. Well, right up top there was about 1,600, 1,700 meters above sea level, to the town of Mahenge. And Mahenge is the last town that has electricity in that part of Tanzania. And so you, depending on how far you got, you would either stay in Mahenge or in Ifakara, because the ferry times were pretty strict. And when we stayed in Mahenge, actually, it was incredible. I've stayed in some horrible little hotel things in Africa, but at Mahenge we used to stay. The Catholic Church has these absolutely massive churches built in the sort of early 1900s by the German Catholic Church, and I mean churches that can seat 600, 700, 1,000 people, absolutely massive. And the main diocese for the south of Tanzania was there. But I mean, in the middle of the bush, in a population of like 50 people, you have a church that can seat 500, and they're incredible. So often they have rooms and stuff like that they used to rent out to people. Oh, they've gone. Little crested Franklins coming through. So it's amazing. So you're up on this in this sort of cloud forest, mist-belt forest, and you sort of drive through past this huge church that can seat, the Mahenge one can seat 1,000 plus people, to this monastery. It was built in the 1910s, and this monastery is massive. I mean, huge. And for about $10 you could stay there and eat there as well. And it was much nicer than staying in any of the places in town, because the bars made a lot of noise. And you've been driving for 2 days by the stage, so you'd sit up there in the cloud forest, and then also there's a big market. Fresh market up on top there, because the Mahenge is the sort of sun there. So if we were going into build camps, build roads, or get ready and stuff like that, we would go to the market, buy tomatoes, onions, and all that type of stuff that we'd only normally get from when we had guests coming in on the aeroplane. And then the police station there. We had to drop off a few poachers over my days at the police station there. And then you have the poachers fixing roads and stuff, or anyone who's a prisoner in their bright orange jumpsuits fixing roads. But the police station is actually the old original 1880s German colonial fort and head outpost for southern Tanzania. Now, in a lot of cases when the Europeans first came to Africa, they would always try build up high. Nairobi's another good example of it, and that was because you got to those heights, malaria stops becoming a problem, and you get out of the low-lying areas where it's cold and high, malaria stopped being a problem. So that's why a lot of those original outposts from colonial Africa are often quite high. So the police station there, and I mean a lot of the building has been sort of patched together, but the outer wall is the original sort of from the 1880s. It's a bit crumbly, but there's still little rifle slots in it, and also stuff from the colonial era, German colonial era in Tanzania. Now, from this mountain, I must actually just see if I can find anything. So Mahenge is actually on the rim of an old exploded volcano. I'll bring up a map a little bit later. Oh, hello, inchworm. Oh, it's a red one. Let's put it there. I haven't seen an inchworm of that color in a very long time. A tiny little inchworm. Bright red. I wonder what you're going to turn into one day. What moth do you belong to? I love inchworms, the way they move. Now, they're called inchworms, even though they actually are theoretically caterpillars, but very small ones. You get different sizes, of course, because of the way they move. So they've got legs right in the front and legs at the back. And the bigger ones are said to move an inch when they move. Now, they spin silk, and a lot of them travel. I mean, that probably drifted into us. They actually almost spin a silk parachute when they're done feeding on a tree, and then they will float on that silk parachute through to an area where they hit ground again. Unfortunately for this chap, he hit our roof and then started dangling down from his silk parachute in front of me. Okay, shame, he's looking for a tree, so let me... Come on, this is going to be... where's your silk? That's normally the best way to try to get them, unless he's broken off his silk. No, he's broken off his silk. That's what we'll use. Let him climb on here. Because with these very small ones, it's very easy to hurt them. Okay, I'm just going to put him on a tree. Quickly. Hopefully it's the tree he wants to eat. Otherwise, he's going to have to make another parachute and go off. There we go. And you see him there, Craig? A successful release. Okay. So, where was I? Oh, yes. So, from Mahenge. I told you about Mahenge. We used to drop down about 600 meters into the Miombo woodland, away from those highland forests and grasslands up on top, to the bustling metropolis of Mbuga. Mbuga was the last town before the Salute. And that's where we kept a lot of our stuff. We had a storeroom there, and there were one or two places that had a generator that only used to run for 2 or 3 hours a day. But we used to stay in one of those places called Mama Bahati's. Mother Luck is the name of the place. And trust me, you don't want to stay at Mama Bahati's if you ever have the choice. It is not what would call excellent accommodation. But it was the only accommodation available to us. Okay, but as I say, it's quite a long story because it was a long way to get to southern Tanzania. In the meantime, Steve seems like he's got birds coming to drink next to the lions.
Yes, thanks very much, Brent. And your tales, we have got a hooded vulture that has come down to the waters itself to probably have a drink, maybe have a little bit of a bathe. Because as we know, these animals can get... So we are on the other side with the lions. Let me just move back a few inches. Maybe we can see that vulture by the water's edge, having a little whatever he's doing. I think it's a drink. Hey, Ferg? How's that? Okay, sorry, folks. There we go. I think that might work. Looks like a juvenile hooded vulture. You can tell by the darkness, the dark foliage, not foliage, the dark plumage on the head. Let's have a look how it drinks. I've never seen a hooded vulture drink before, and this one doesn't seem to want to let us. Come on the other way. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely live. We have no idea whether the bird is going to go right or left or fly or be eaten by a lion. Anything could happen in the moment. It is being very wary. No, Bex, I'm not hoping it's getting eaten by lion, but it could happen. Anything could happen. Absolutely anything. So we're not far from where the Nkuhumas left that kudu carcass. Not far at all. So the vulture is enjoying the camouflage that the grass is providing. As it landed down, the lions did give it a little bit of a look, but they have since lain down flat again, and there's no more interest. But you see the vulture's down by the water's edge on its own, so it's quite wary to sort of get too close to the water. Very cute. Sophia thinks this vulture's kind of cute. Yes, I do agree. Okay, great. It's coming closer to us, to the other side of the bank. Maybe it is hoping to get closer to the lions and to maybe feed on more scat that they drop on the ground. I'm sure he will learn. You can see how dark the head is, sort of on the back of the head. That is an indication that this is a juvenile hooded vulture. Sort of still got its downy plumage, so to speak, on the head. And they would have been born probably last year in about June, July time, with an incubation period of close to 50 days. Cat brag, what does the word vulture mean? You are wanting to know from me, and I have no idea. I've never thought about the meaning of it. We do always have a wonderful technology out there to understand the meaning of a word. So maybe I should have a quick look. If you will bear with me for a moment. I don't know if I'm going to get any data out here. But we do have Ferg in the back who is dated up. You have a look at the feet. Very large feet on that bird. You can see it's not really designed for walking too much. It's not not a bad walker, but it's got those toes to enable it to sort of perch and to spend its nights in the tree where it is safe from predators and all sorts of things that would try and grab them if they stayed on the ground. But see, look, that's a nice sort of reflection in the water, Ferg. Marvelous. This is my first time ever seeing a hooded vulture drink, which is quite fantastic. I've seen many times. I've seen whitebacks. I've seen a few white-headed and even leopard face in the water, not necessarily drinking, doing more of a sort of a bath, because a lot of people think vultures are in fact very dirty and disgusting creatures, which they do look like it most of the time, but they are very clean. They spend a lot of time bathing and a lot of time sunbathing in the afternoon to dry the feathers and to kill any bacteria that they might have accumulated in their plumage, especially around their chest and underneath their wings. But he's not a very efficient drinker, if you saw. Doing that little sort of dip and flip of the beak. It didn't look very successful, to be honest. So I don't have any data. I don't know what the word vulture means. If anyone can help me out. Yes, it does, Sophia. It looks just like a dinosaur. Very, very old school type of bird, isn't it? Obviously, it's got the feathers, but by the face and by those feet, it definitely looks like it comes from a different era. But they have been around for a very long time, vultures, and their evolutionary sort of strategy has been because of death. And, some statistics I was reading about up in the Mara is that more than 80% of the animals that die of natural causes up in the Mara and the Serengeti areas are not found by hyena or lion and are completely fed upon by vultures. So they play a very, very important part in the recycling of dead and decaying meat, far greater than that of the larger predators, which makes them very, very important because removing in the carcasses limits the amount of flies and the amount of rotting that can happen, and it really, really gets quite gross if it gets left out too long. The vultures seem to absolutely enjoy that. Well, if you've evolved to eat very rotten smelling food, I suppose, there we go. There goes his little flight. You saw how easily he took off. That's what enables them to get away from lions if they come too close to lions in a kill. Whereas the other vultures, when they take off, they need to do at least 2 or 3 steps because of their weight and their wing size. It's not as easy for them to just jump up. It's probably going to spend quite a few hours here near the water, waiting for the thermals. There's absolutely no thermals at the moment. The temperatures are very, very cool. It's a cloudy, overcast day, and there's not much heat rising. For him to move around and to get too much sort of efficiency out of his flight, most vultures will wait for the thermals to enable them to fly. But should we maybe make another little turn here by these lions, Ferg? Let's see if we can get them back in shot. They were up a moment or two ago. Okay. Thank you, P-Heart. P-Heart has come back to tell me that vulture in Old French means to pluck. So that's what they do. They pluck and they tear. And all the different vulture species, we're not going to get too much of a good shot here. Let me go up here, Ferg. There's the puddle of lions. There we have them. Tell me when you're happy, Mr. Ferg. Good? Okay, well, there we go, folks. We've managed to find the Nkuhumas again, and they are doing absolutely nothing. So while we wait for them to get active, let's go back over to Taylor McCurdy and see what updates on her travels she has for you.
I did say that the Nkuhumas were going to do nothing. I knew they were listening. Those babies are still nice and swollen with a bit of food in it. There's no need to go anywhere, is there? So we have been exploring. We're in Chitwa, obviously, driving around, looking for leopards. Haven't found any leopards, not even a footprint. So VM and I have come to the sort of eastern corner, which is very dense, which is like Kuchava's favorite spot. She does like to hide away quite a bit. When the cameras are around her, she puts on a bit of a show, but it takes a bit of time to try and find her. Right, this is one of my favorite intersections to check for leopard tracks, because there are often leopard tracks. Go away, flies. I'll get a quarry branch, and then I'll swat all of you. Okay, but no, what's that? No, I don't know what that is. Okay, we'll go down here, because she always seems to use this road all the way to Gari Main as her like thorough road. She comes through it all the time from Torchwood. So we just check nicely here to make sure. And then there's lots of termite mounds, one of her favorite things to sit on. And she's often up in marula trees too, well, any tree. And we'll check carefully, slowly and carefully here. I'm glad I've got VM on the car, because he's so good at spotting all the animals. Hang on, this is familiar. This termite mound. And get a little gap. Over here is where we had Kuchava after she was chased away by the Styx Pride. That was where she took refuge, up the top there. She was nice and safe, but she's not there today, however, unfortunately. So we keep looking. We'll have a little scratch around here. I can hear some nice birds chatting. Maybe we can do a bit of birding if they show themselves. In my opinion, when it comes to the habituation of cats, leopards are the ones that are a little bit more difficult to habituate, Michael. Lions, they seem to not be fazed. Normally by a couple of weeks old, they're already curious about the vehicle and wanting to come right up to it. It's the noises, I think, that bothers them, the animals, the most. The starting of the engine, us talking really loudly, radios blaring, that bothers them slightly. Otherwise, they habituate quite carefully. Leopards, a little bit harder. The process is a little bit slower. To take it easy. There's something calling here, and I'm going to try to find it. So yeah. Who is that? This is an oriole. I don't think I've seen an oriole since I've been back. It is. Where are you? It's in the Balanites tree. Now we just gotta find where. I don't think we're gonna get a view, sadly. There's too many other trees. Come out. We want to see you. And your yellow feathers. Nah. Hiding away. Oh well, we'll get the next one then. I'm just going to quickly check here, as all this is, like I said, she always crosses in here. There's tracks. What tracks are those? Those leopard tracks, Liam? They didn't look very leopard-like. Lots of civet tracks that I have been seeing. Right, let's have a look-see. Let's check here. Block the whole road. Nope. Does it look like anyone has really been walking except a couple of birds? I can definitely see lots of dove tracks, as they normally are. Lots of scrub hare tracks as well. Lots of tracks from yesterday that have been really wind-blown. Okay, so no luck here. Now, we're going to keep searching in this block as we've only checked, well, a little section of it. Brent is in a storytelling mood today, and apparently you're heading off to hear part 3 of the Tanzanian tales.
Hello, Taylor, yes. Hopefully Taylor has some luck there. Unfortunately, the leopard tracks we've been searching crossed north into Buffelshoek, so we've left the area. We're slowly going down the whole of the eastern boundary now. There have been some vehicles on here, that's why I'm going so slowly, just in case there's any sign of Thandi and Shalamba around here. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. You never want to stay at Mama Bahati's. It is not very nice. Now, the one thing I did forget to mention is the drive up to Mahenge and down from Mahenge is possibly one of the most exquisite in the world, and not a drive that many people get to do. Now, okay, so from Mahenge, which is about just under 1,000 meters above sea level, we then pack everything from our storeroom and whatnot into some of our big old lorries, and they were very old. There was a Bedford truck that came from booming World War II that still had a machine gun turret. I did not like that thing. I swore at it a lot. It broke down a lot, and as soon as anything, the bigger it gets, the harder it is to fix, just due to being out in the bush. Just to lift something, you need a whole block and tackle system, and that Bedford truck nearly killed a lot of us over the years there. But anyway, so you would go right the way down to the Luego River in the sort of heart of the Southern Selous, and that was at about 200 meters above sea level, and it was again one of the more stunning drives if you don't mind tsetse flies attacking you, which they did in huge numbers. But that's just to get to camp, and that's how our food used to come, and when we had to go build camps and all that type of stuff, that was our route down there. Now, I'm going to tell you one last story about that Bedford truck, since it reminded me of it. That Bedford truck, as I said, it nearly murdered a few of us. So there, on that last little drive, there's a hill called Lima Tella. Lima is hill, Tella is to fall down. And 3 game scouts died on that hill. They were on a tractor, and they went over the edge and off a cliff of about 60, 70 meters. The tractor's still at the bottom, and it got the name Fall Down Hill from that. And on that hill there was it was almost a 90-degree turn, and in those big trucks you couldn't just turn. You had to whip, and around with a massive drop next to you. And Godi, he was one of the guys who used to work for me up there. He was incredible. So he was about 26, 27 years old. He started off working up in the northern Tanzania as a porter for Kilimanjaro, one of those guys who runs past all the hikers who are going up there. And then he decided to do his mechanics course, and he did his mechanics course, and he got his truck licenses and all that. And then he decided he was tired of mechanics, and he became our baker in camp. So a very talented man, young Godi, and Godi was driving the truck down that hill, that fall down hill. And the problem with those old trucks, and all old cars, as my dad says, nothing nice about old cars, they're just old, is that at the same time the brakes failed and it popped out a 4-wheel drive, which happened a lot in that Bedford. And Godi did an incredible thing, because he was heading straight for the same cliff that the people fell down and died. And what he did is he rammed the truck into this sand wall on the side, and he managed to purposely put the truck on its side. and he fell through the windscreen. He luckily did not go over the cliff. And that was a big job. That was the only road in and out as well. So we had to go get that truck turned over. So basically, I took 20 guys, and we, with spades and picks, dug away at that wall that Gotti had purposely crashed into to put the truck on its side. And we dug away at that wall, and there was a big teak tree up on top. And we attached that block and tackle chain system to it, and we went, and we turned that truck back upright. But by this stage, that truck was a nightmare. So we loaded everything off, everything that was on it off onto Land Cruisers and took them back down into camp. And then so once we got that truck upright, all the guys who had truck or driver's license and stuff, they all refused point blank to drive that truck down the hill. Now the problem is that was the only road into our concession, and that's why that hill was in a bad place, because there's the rest of it trying to get down is even worse. So I had to drive it, and I needed a volunteer, and fortunately my tracker Ndomboro was a very brave man. So basically Ndomboro sat holding the four-wheel drive lever, which was trying to jump out because we had no brakes, and put the truck into first gear low range, got it around the corner, got it to the bottom of the hill, pulled it off to the side of the road, parked it, phoned my boss, said, if you want that truck, you come fetch it, because I'm not driving it any further. I just had to get it out of the way to make sure we could get in and out of camp. So that worked out. But now, because Taylor was talking about the habituation of lions and leopards and which is easier, that area was a perfect example of the habituation process, because we took over a hunting concession where nothing was habituated, where people weren't for 6 months. And we will continue the habituation story later, because we're going to go to some very habituated lions, the lovely Nkuhumas.
Well, you haven't missed much, folks. I'm sure Brent has been glorifying you with tales of wonder and splendor and holes and walls. I'm not really quite sure where he's going with it. Ferg says the great adventures of Brent Leo Smith. But here we have the Sabi male lion of the Nkuhumas, and yes, they are very relaxed, these lions, very habituated. And in case those of you who are new to the show don't understand what the word habituated means, it does not mean that they are tame. I mean, I'm sitting a good 8 yards or so away from these lions, and they are very used to the vehicle, they're very used to the voices. But if I stepped out of the car, it would change their behavior immediately, and it would evoke some form of response. Normally would cause them to run away, but what could happen, and has happened in the past to unexpected tourists, is that they got eaten. Because basically what is happening is we are right inside the comfort zone or the critical zone of lions. And if we were people approaching on foot, lions have developed what we call a comfort zone. From a distance, they look at you and they're quite happy. You come a bit closer and then you get the alert zone, which means they're very alert and they know you're there. And you get closer to that, and that becomes what we call the critical zone. And this is in most animals. And it will obviously either force the animal to run away or to attack. And most of the time, animals like this will not attack people because they see you from a distance, they get quite uncomfortable and they move away. But now what's happened is we've positioned ourselves right inside that critical zone. And if I happen to get out of the car, because they don't see the car as any threat, the car is a very new sort of design in animal or in lion ecology. They haven't only for the last probably 70 years or so has it featured on the radar of lions, and they don't fear it. So they have the instinctive fear of man for a very, very long time because you've competed with them. So if I suddenly climbed out the car, revealed my legs and my two-legged, upright, postured human stance, they would react in a way that would be negative. So that we will not do that. But please don't anyone out there think these animals are tame. It's very important. Whenever you go on a game drive, your guide will tell you the rules. Don't stand up, or what I like to call them the safety guidelines, because nobody likes rules. Do not stand up. which means you change the shape of the vehicle, or don't climb off the vehicle. And a lot of people actually laugh at these statements. They think, of course I'm not going to climb off. But if you as the guide have not taken the responsibility to tell your guest what they can and can't do, and they do it, the responsibility is the guide's. So don't let that happen. It happened to some Chinese tourists quite a long time ago. They were in the Kruger Park in a van type vehicle with a sliding door. And I don't know who the guide was. I don't know what the guide had told them, but I don't think the English was understood very well. And we were in a situation like this where lions were sleeping right next to the car. They were taking pictures of them through the window. And the gentleman decided to give his camera to his wife to take a photo of him with the lions, which he'd probably communicated with her in Chinese. The guide didn't understand, and the guy climbed out into the middle of the pride, and they subsequently started eating him. It happened very quickly, and before anyone could do anything, the individual was dead. So that happens. I know that's quite a morbid story, but by no means are these animals tame, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to make sure that those of you who are new to the show understand the realities of that. So we don't want to influence their behavior. I'd hate to see these lions get up and run away from us. The whole objective of what we do is to view them naturally, safely, in their natural state without influencing them. Obviously, every now and again, you might get a reaction if you're walking or you happen to come across lions unexpectedly. You might get a quick reaction out of them, but very, very quickly they will relax again to the car. What have I experienced that is dangerous? Misa would like to know. I have had many elephant experiences on foot and in a vehicle, which probably are quite frightening. Definitely elephants are the one animal that they're just their size, just the size of them. They are something that is not to be toiled with if they are not in a good mood. Sorry, I've just spotted a very cool bird, and I don't know if Ferg is going to be able to get it because it will fly away. Ferg, can you see it here? Just in this bush. Yeah, punch in there. There he is. Yay! There's my favorite bird, ladies and gentlemen. A female green-winged pytilia. Sorry, I always get very excited when I see that. I would probably try and draw a bird day, but I'm very good at stick men. I'm very good at stick men, but at birds with colour, not very good. I wasn't encouraged too much to draw when I was young, so I can do a stick bird. But that would be an amazing bird for you to draw. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen out there, Draw a Bird Day is on the 8th of April, and please get your drawings into us before the 8th of April so that we can put them together in a video and show all the people out there what wonderful artists you are. Let me try and find a picture of that bird for you. But while I do so I was telling a story of my first encounter in the bush many, many years ago, and I was very new to the wilderness. And I moved into a position to find a leopard that had a kill in a tree. So probably as far away as the lions are now is where the tree was. And except the car was facing straight onto the lions, except it was a leopard, and the leopard was in a tree with a kill. That was before I got there, and I was quite new. And I found my way. I had a map similar to this one with all the road names on it. And I made my way to the place, and I kind of got the vehicle tracks going off, and I was like, okay, I know where I am. And I parked the car there. I looked in the tree. There was no kill. There was no leopard. So what did I do? I had a car just like this without a door. I decided to get out of the car, and I walked. So basically where you see that bush just in front of us, just this, that one there, that is where the leopard was. With the kill in the drainage line, which I hadn't seen, in the little river depression. And I stepped out of the car to look for tracks, and the leopard decided to have a go and shout and scream and run towards me. And that is probably the most frightening thing I've ever experienced. But what I did is I somehow went from there about 5 meters away, and I just sort of levitated into the vehicle. I don't know how I did it still today, but the leopard then came and sat in front of my car and then cleaned itself and licked its paws. And the biggest mistake I made, and I have mentioned the story before, is I went and I told my mother. Not a good thing to do. Rather just let that one slide. And I also told the trackers and the guides I was working with, and I was then hence named Ingwenyama, which basically means leopard meat. But it didn't last very long. I got into all sorts of other things after that, and I forgot. So let me quickly show you this bird that I nearly lost track of. My favorite bird. Now, would that not be a beautiful bird to draw, ladies and gentlemen? That is the male. The one we saw on the tree there was the female. Let me show you. There's the male again. There's the male displaying, and there is a female. You see, she's got the grey, doesn't have the collar, the sort of greenish collar through the shoulder. But that would be a great bird for someone to draw out there. Okay, so we are going to go back over to Taylor McCurdy, who is tracking something with spots.
We are. Good news. Liam and I were feeling a bit sorry for ourselves, hey, Liam? We were sad and we couldn't find anything and nothing wanted to show itself, but I'm going to show you some tracks now. We found tracks of Kuchava and her little one, which is quite cool. So here's Kuchava's footprints here in the sand. Going back down this way. She walked up it initially and she's gone down. I don't know where the cub tracks are, but they're a bit further down the road. So we need to figure out where they go off. I think there's another slip road that runs sort of to the south. I think we're going to take that and have a quick look around. I think they're fairly fresh. That one obviously doesn't look that great, but if you see the others, she might have just kicked some sand back into her own track. They're perfect, and they are on top of vehicle tracks. So we didn't drive through here this morning. Well, a little bit disappointed that it didn't come this way, because I normally always drive first. And maybe we would have caught her on the move. There's also lots of elephant tracks moving down. They go back down again. Just deciding. On they rained on. Yeah, up we go. Back over here. Leslie, no, we don't have tracking collars. Oh, they're coming this way. Great. BM's also got a keen eye for tracks. He says they're going along here, so we're going to check carefully now. You know, and see. Maybe going off the road. Leslie, we, when I say we, Wild Earth doesn't put any tracking collars on any of the animals. However, there are lots of research projects that are going on within the greater Kruger. The dog that we see that has a collar on. Some elephants have collars on them, some lions. Here's the tracks here. So there are a couple of animals, but it's not our doing. And we don't have the coordinates for, or the GPS coordinates for those collars, so we don't actually know where the animals are at any given time, which is quite cool. So that's why you don't know what you're going to see. Okay. Yeah, her tracks are going up and are they over those elephant tracks? Let me try and get a good view. I don't know what our signal's going to be like down here, but they're still going. Now, Kuchava's quite sneaky. She's not too afraid of the cars. They're not her favorite. Normally with one vehicle, she's 100%. She's the perfect cat. Where is she gone? This is where I wish I could just go. You don't understand how badly I want that to work, to coax the leopards out of the bushes. Yeah, it's going up and down here. Ay, ay, ay. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, she's very busy. Perhaps her cub was giving her the run around. There are cubs with her, so that's good news. So we're going to keep checking because the track's now going back down this way to try and figure out where she is. But I bet you're all enjoying Brent's stories. And, well, as you know, he's got many more and he still hasn't finished the first one.
Well, I think this looks like Tristan yesterday, following what looks to be Hasana's tracks. They're not fresh, but there's an arrow. Can you see it, Craig? Let me move. I think that looks like Tristan. Did Tristan draw an arrow in the sand yesterday while on drive? I can see it there. Looks like Tristan's tracks or Taylor's tracks. They both have the same type of shoe. No, I think it's Tristan. Okay. But yeah, there's Hasana's tracks there, but they're not fresh. But this is always a good spot to look for Hasana, the naughty boy. He'll pop out at any second. which is quite possible. So, speaking about Hyena, probably the most habituated leopard in the Sabi Sands at the moment, as opposed to non-habituated animals. We're going to head towards the carcass, see if he's sniffing around there, trying to cause trouble with hyenas again. But that southern area, that area of Tanzania, there was nothing habituated. The elephants, the impala, everything used to run from the cars. And in terms of habituating lions or leopards, lions are much, much easier. So we had a nice pride of lions there, and it took about 7 months to habituate them to vehicles properly. They used to just run away from 100 meters plus, and slowly but surely stopping at 100 meters, staying there for 20 minutes, half an hour, talking, the lions watching you carefully, then a little bit closer, and it took about 6 months to get those animals habituated to the game drive vehicle. But we used to actually spend a lot more time on foot doing walking safaris in southern Tanzania than we did in the vehicles. The vehicles were more tools to get from A to B and to certain spots, to our fly camps where we used to walk from or walk to. So yes, we spend more time on foot, which was quite exciting. Some of the safaris we even would start on foot. So the aeroplane would land, the guests would, the vehicle would take all their bags, and we would walk straight from the airstrip to camp. Always fun. Let's see, is naughty boy around here? No? Let's have a look around here. Okay, well, I'm going to head straight to that elephant carcass, see if there's anything happening. In the meantime, let's go across. Oh, there's a giraffe. Hello, male giraffe. What are you eating? A milkberry? That's nice. If you are a giraffe. Unfortunately, he's not staring into the long grass, which we would hope, because he might have spotted Hyena. This is the same male giraffe that was around Leopard yesterday. Looks like he's really enjoying that milkberry, tucking in. They are incredible animals, giraffe. The oxpecker is irritating him a bit. Oh dear, I've been put on the spot. What bird am I going to draw on Draw a Bird Day? I have no idea. When is Draw a Bird Day, Rebecca? Do I have time to think about it? I'm hoping so. 8th of April, good. Well, I haven't decided what bird I'm going to draw yet. That's a difficult one. Can't just put me on the spot like that. I need to think about it. Okay. I said we're going to keep moving towards the carcass, and as we move towards the carcass, it's always important to check very carefully around here in case the little chief is hiding in the long grass. Very brave little leopard, Hyena. Ooh, now this morning's got cooler as it's gone on and the clouds have come in, so it sounds like the Nkuhumas might be on the move.